Alexandra Morton is the citizen scientist whose research and advocacy have forced an intense debate about the impact of salmon farming on the wild salmon runs of the Pacific Northwest.
I avoided every environmental issue that came my way. I did not want to hear about logging. I knew it was wrong to have whales in captivity, but I didn't do anything about it. But then when the salmon farms came into my area, first I thought, good idea. Yeah, we were in a small community of about 50 people, or no, I guess at that time it was about 150 people. A little one-room school, a post office where the mail came with a seaplane, and really a unique culture that had been going on for 100 years. And I thought that the fish farm industry would bring more people to the town to help keep the school open. But what happened was it was actually a big wheel that just crushed us. And now there's 8 people left. The Norwegian companies that are operating there don't hire local people because the local people were problematic. They didn't want to see the diseases pass to the wild fish. They didn't want to do a lot of the things they were asked to do. And I was just the biologist present and the only person with a word processor. When this began, they began in 1987. And for a few years, we didn't think there was a problem with them. The fishermen didn't like them, but I thought, maybe they just don't like new things that have to do with salmon in particular. But we had no rights. And we didn't ever ask the industry to go away. We just asked them not to displace us and to stay off the major migration routes and don't go on top of the prime fishing grounds. But they did. They went right into the vital organs of that archipelago and displaced my neighbors, displaced the whales. Then there was toxic algae blooms. Then there was Atlantic salmon in these Pacific rivers. Then there was disease problems.
You've got a wonderful comment, I think in 2 or 3 places, to the effect that the wild salmon are the essential power cord that carries the energy up and down the coastline, the energy that it needs.
Yes, so when I first came out to the archipelago, I really didn't notice the salmon. But gradually I began to see that everything was happening around them, the whales, the humans, the culture that had developed there. And I began to really look at them. And the moment the egg leaves the mother's body, it begins to feed the world around it. So trout and these little birds that run underwater called the water ouzels eat them. And then the little fish go to sea and the mergansers are having their babies, the kingfishers are having their babies, the young coho and chinook, which are much bigger, feed voraciously on these swarms of beautiful little pink and chum salmon that come out of the rivers. And then they go to sea and they basically collect the energy of sunlight hitting the open ocean. So when the sunlight hits the open ocean, plankton blooms start, good blooms, and then fish eat those, and then the salmon eat those. And so they collect up all that energy and they come back to this coast on a schedule, to the exact place they respond. So now all these other organisms have set their clock to them. They need them to get the fat to hibernate. They need them to raise their offspring. And the incredible thing about the Pacific salmon is there's 5 of them and they all fit a different niche in the river. You've got your mountain climbing coho, you've got your chum salmon that don't want to go very far, and everybody in between. So the river is maximized to these fish, and they actually carry nitrogen up into the water system, into the watersheds. And scientists who track this ocean nitrogen called nitrogen 15, they find it in alpine meadows, in the trees. The growth rings of trees are bigger when there's a big salmon run. You can actually track your salmon runs with the growth rings of the trees. So you've got your animals eating the fish directly, and then you've got them moving off and the waste passing through them, or you have eagles taking these things up into trees and it falling down. The nitrogen from the ocean has been found in the flesh of mountain goats.
Really?
So that's something that went into the grass up at some very high elevation, and the goats eat it. So if you could imagine, as these fish come back, everything's just turning green around them. They're just bringing life. They are the bloodstream. And the tides are like the lungs, and they are breathing in and out, but the salmon are the bloodstreams carrying the nutrients. And the more I deal with this issue, the more I see that humanity is not recognizing these major power cords that connect us to huge resources of energy. That open ocean is like a solar panel, like, you know, we've never built. And these fish are plugging us into it. And so we don't want to break these cords.
Alexandra Morton, citizen, scientist, and passionate advocate for the wild salmon that are the very symbol of the Pacific coast. For the Green Interview, I'm Silver Donald Cameron. See you next time.